All right, West Virginia fans, there is absolutely no reason to wait for the end of this game. This season is over. Just a disappointing way to end this season. I knew that it would be an uphill battle for the Mountaineers to win this game, but the way that they are playing right now, the effort that is being shown right now is just not up to the standard of West Virginia football and is not the Mountaineer way. So we're going to break this one down early and get into my thoughts. I know all the other creators are going to have a shows after this, so why not just give my thoughts as the fourth quarter's going, because it's 49-0 now. This game's over, the season's over, and I'm ready to move forward to next season. Before we get into the show, if you're a West Virginia fan, please remember to like and subscribe to JerseyEER. We really appreciate all the support we've been getting this year. Let's break down this ugly game over from the start. So let's talk about just coming into the game, right? West Virginia has a very limited roster coming into the game. We know about the injury situation this year. Unfortunately for West Virginia, the roster is what it is, going the way it is, right? With all the injuries that we've had, you could only get so much juice out of this team, and it feels like it was finally squeezed today, and there was nothing else left to give for West Virginia, and it was a really challenging game. Major talent gap, as we can see. I mean, Texas Tech is scoring with their fourth string quarterback at times. West Virginia could not get off the field many times. So the talent gap was alarming. It is alarming. And it shows that West Virginia has a major work to do this offseason. And it was just a terrible matchup for West Virginia. You kind of saw this one coming, unfortunately. You know, when we started going on our losing streaks, and when we had to win out, you knew that this game was going to be at the end if they had to get to a bowl game. It didn't matter anyway because we lost last week, but the worst case scenario is having Texas Tech in this spot, if I'm being honest, because you wanted to get some momentum heading into next season. And right now we're going to be having a bad taste in our mouth about the end of this season. I mean, 49-0, the body language looks off. It just doesn't look good for a lot of different reasons. So it was a terrible matchup for West Virginia. And we've had a lot of tough scheduling spots this year. You think back to the Kansas game, after the Pitt game, going on the road to Arizona State, the BYU game on a short week on a Friday night, and then this time having a bye week before the end of the season, but so did Texas Tech. After last week's or 2 weeks ago's loss to Arizona State, I was kind of ready to put this season to bed, and I think a lot of the fans were, and the fact that we still had to play this game, who was a team that's way more highly rated than us going in with way more talent at each and every position, was going to be a tough call. So I'm sure there's recruits there and things like that. Coop said, what did Ben Cutter do to get ejected? Got to be honest, I've been doing the show. I just started it, so I saw that just happened. I think it's just a frustrating day in general, Coop, for a lot of the players. I saw Cam Vaughn on the Max Brown interception, made no attempt to come back and tackle that guy. That's definitely concerning. So the body language of the players isn't great right now. They seem checked out, and I'm sure it was just a frustrating day for Ben Cutter. Let's get back into the points, though. Lots of work to do in the transfer portal, just with my initial thoughts on this team. Rich Rodriguez has made comments that next year he expects West Virginia to be in the running for the college football playoff. Well, if that's the case, then you're going to have to make up 49 points to where the top team is. So right now we are a bottom feeding team in the Big 12. So if that's the case, then we must upgrade at each and every position in the transfer portal if we are going to make that jump, because right now we are nowhere close to competing for a Big 12 championship. And like I said, it's just a bad taste in our mouth after a disappointing season. I know we've done some decent things in the second half of the season, but we laid out expectations before the season started. And I said anything less than a bowl game would be a disappointment. And this year is going to be a disappointing season, unfortunately, for West Virginia. It's a bad look heading into early signing day, right? I know we've gained a lot of momentum there as well, getting a lot of high end recruits either committed or interested in the program. There should be a decent amount of recruits at the game today, and you're looking at a stadium that's not that full. And that's a pass, right? Because it's Thanksgiving weekend, not much to play for West Virginia, but you have, an empty stadium with not much hype, and you have a team that just gets blown out and embarrassed on ESPN. It's just not a good recipe. It's a little bit tough pill to swallow heading into early signing day on Wednesday. And then just not a great day either for Scotty Fox. I think he's done some really solid things the second half of the season. He had 2 games where he threw for over 300 yards and has a win over a ranked Houston team, which was great. But, this one was going to be a tough performance for him either way going into it, I think, just because of the mismatches defensively and what Texas Tech does on the defensive side of the ball. But definitely wasn't a great day for him, was staring down receivers, overthrew a few receivers, just seemed jittery in the pocket and didn't get much help with protection. So tough way to end the season for him. It's going to be interesting to see what West Virginia does at that position moving forward. Right now, they have Khalil Wilkins in the game. There's about 12 minutes left if you're watching this live or on the replay. All right, let's get into the first quarter notes. It's set. So first quarter notes here. Right side of the line strikes again. So, we're going to do a season recap video at some point this week, recapping the season. But the right side of the line all year has been pretty bad, right? And Kimo Monacchioli and Crawford, first series of the game, third and long situation, just totally whiff on their blocks. Scotty Fox gets killed, 3 and outs, just really poor. Missed tackles then on West Virginia's end, right? Which led to the inability to get off the field. I mean, there were so many times in this game early on where Texas Tech was either in a 4th down scenario or a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15 situation, and West Virginia just could not get off the field. I mean, there was a few times where the field position was so bad for Texas Tech, they were just running a halfback draw, and they were getting, 20 to 25 yards on it for first downs. So the missed tackling, the inability to get off the field was alarming, and that led to the time of possession, right? West Virginia didn't get their first down until the second quarter of that game. So the time of possession was way out of whack early on, which is a recipe for disaster if you're a team looking to compete with a team that is superior than you. Fred Perry goes out with the injury in this game. Really appreciate Fred Perry. That dude always played hard for the West Virginia Mountaineers. He's going to go down as one of my favorite Mountaineer defenders, even though he was on a team that wasn't that talented. So it was a shame to see Fred Perry's season get cut a few quarters short. I wish him the best of luck. I hope he plays in the NFL if that's a possibility for him, because he gave it his all this year. He wasn't always perfect. I know he had a few personal foul penalties, but I'll definitely watching Fred Perry put on a Mountaineer uniform, even if it was for a short time. And then West Virginia, they get a little bit desperate. They're down 14-0 in this game. It's 4th and 1 on our own 40-yard line, and Rich Rodriguez decides to go for it, which I can't blame him for going for it because whatever, we're not going to a bowl game anyway. We needed some sort of momentum because you saw the way the game was going. But then they run the predictable quarterback draw play on 4th down. Everybody in the stadium knew it. Everybody at home knew it. I knew exactly when they were spreading everybody out wide, what they were going to do there. Texas Tech's defense just collapsed on it, and it was a loss of down, and Texas Tech got the ball, and then they went up 21-0, and then the game was really over after that. And then West Virginia had a chance to get back into this game another time when they forced a fumble with Siders. Siders had back-to-back plays where he's putting pressure on the quarterback, but just another one of those examples where the ball's on the ground and we don't pick it up, and we really needed that in that aspect to get back into that game. So we have a comment here. I have to say some of the players didn't show great effort, not following through plays, especially on defense. I think the not having 11 hats to the ball, missed tackles, not finishing the play, there was times where Texas Tech was just running around and they needed like 10 or 15 yards and we couldn't close the gap fast enough. And the lack of urgency today was super alarming. And then even on the Cam Vaughn play where Max Brown tries to throw up to Cam Vaughn, he underthrows it really terribly, and Cam Vaughn doesn't even bother turning around to try to tackle the guy, he just runs off. So really concerned about Cam Vaughn's headspace right now. The transfer portal decisions are going to be coming up, so that would be concerning to me. But yeah, the body language today was just not great. Not great for the people that showed up and bought a ticket to this game and went to Mountaineer Field hoping to see a competitive game. It's just not. It's just not. And this back-to-back years where Texas Tech has smacked us directly in the face. It's embarrassing at this point. So just a very frustrated game as a Mountaineer fan. And then the second quarter, not much better. Zero pocket for Scotty Fox. Scotty Fox has no time to step into a pocket. When he does, there's 2 or 3 guys there, and he's running for his life. And that's probably why he was staring down receivers today, overthrowing receivers, and just didn't look himself. Absolutely no push up front. If anyone in the comments can let me know how many rushing yards we currently have in this game, I would love to know how many rushing yards we have, because it has been a struggle on the ground all day for West Virginia. WVU, first down didn't come until 16 minutes left in the second quarter. So at one point, Texas Tech had 28 points and West Virginia had 0 first downs. Now, does the blowout surprise me? Not in the slightest. I think if you're a reasonable West Virginia fan, you knew that this was a possibility, but just the glaring how far we are is what's emotionally upsetting. That it's where the fact that they have 28 points and we don't have a single first down is extremely alarming. So just not a good day to be a Mountaineer. Again, Texas Tech converting on 3rd and longs is something we've talked about already on this show, but West Virginia has had the inability to get off the field on 3rd and long situations. It's been absolutely brutal for the Mountaineers. And then today, too, West Virginia's D-backs and their ball skills, making plays on the ball, has just been a challenge all season, and it really stuck out today. There was a time where Scruggs just kind of got boxed out on a touchdown. There was one where Chambers tried to bat a ball down, but Texas Tech's guys still came down with it. So a lot of times this year, opposing players have been picking on our cornerbacks. You saw it with Colorado and TCU and back to the Houston game and today. So our defensive backs, sometimes they're in position to make plays, but they just don't have the ball skills necessary to make the correct play. So that's another thing that has been an issue all season, and it really stuck out today. Then Ben Cutter in the second quarter gets an interception. So Texas Tech tries to get Q and bring in Jacob Rodriguez to pad his Heisman stats. He was a quarterback once at University of Virginia. They try to do like the little Tebow pop pass. Ben Cutter gets the interception. So that was good because the score could be like 56-0 right now. And then one positive is Fox to Jeffrey Weimer had some decent things going in the second quarter. Hats off to Jeffrey Weimer. He's a guy that kept his head held high, even though he wasn't eligible initially out of the gate and missed a good part of preseason camp and didn't get much playing time in those first few games. But he's someone that has really stepped up the second half of the season and has been arguably West Virginia's best receiver the second part of the season. So Jeffrey Weimer now, the last 4 or 5 games has been consistent for West Virginia. So shout out to him because he's a guy that doesn't have any eligibility left. And Coop said the old man fight was more entertaining than the whole game. Yeah, this is just a tough game to be at if you're a West Virginia fan. And there's still 3 minutes and 17 seconds to go in this one. I have it on my TV up here. So, this game's still not over. Who knows? Maybe West Virginia can score some points and have some respect because right now it's definitely not good. Again, 3rd and 8 situation. they're going to run out and they're going to get off the field here. So anyway, so then third quarter comes, which is where we're currently at. Or sorry, they're in the fourth quarter now. But not much better to start off the after the half, right? Busted coverage on the Douglas 50-yard gain, which was not good. He was wide open. So when there's a busted coverage, that's going to happen. And then Texas Tech basically scores immediately. So they go down on a 2-minute drive to open up the half, and then you blink, it's 35-0, and all the West Virginia fans, whoever were left, are hitting the gates, and they're gone. Ben Bogle was a positive in that quarter. He forced a fumble. So Ben Bogle's a guy that, again, one of those players that in the second half of the season has really stepped up and flown around and made some plays. So Ben Bogle is definitely a guy that I would keep if I was West Virginia. I try to retain him. I made a video of the top 10 players that I would try to retain, and Ben Bogle was definitely on that list. And then Max Brown gets some time in the game, and we could tell pretty quickly when Max Brown played. There's a reason why he was the quarterback we hadn't seen hardly at all this season. He underthrows a ball pretty badly that was intended for Cam Vaughn, who had separation from the receiver. So he was instantly benched after that underthrow. And then Texas Tech's fourth string quarterback comes in and throws a touchdown. So just kind of shows you the talent that they're working with compared to the talent that we're working with. Khalil Wilkins then gets in. Haven't had much time to watch him play because I'm doing the show. So I just, after the third quarter, I'm like, I'm just going to do the show now. So that's where we're at with him. I watched the game a little bit when he was in, and it looked like he was running for his life. And then Texas Tech fake punts the ball, has a fake punt up 42-0. I just think that's a Bush League move by Texas Tech personally. I'm not sure what Rich Rodriguez is going to say after that game about that. If he does address it, he might just take the high road and be like, we should have stopped him. Or who knows, maybe he's going to be pretty mad about it. But I guess the announcers were defending them and saying that we were in position. So if they're not going to change, do it. But at that point, you're up 42-0, just punt the ball. But you know what? I think the point is, as a West Virginia fan, I'm kind of tired of being in these scenarios where we have to judge teams based on morals and what they do when they're crushing us. This reminds me of the Penn State situation 2 years ago when we were at their place and James Franklin decided to score a touchdown as time expired, and people were upset about that. I'm tired of being the punchline of people defending us when our team's getting our butts kicked. It's starting to get really old. So it is what it is. They faked the punt. I don't agree with it, but again, my stance on it is I really hope that soon we can not be in these situations where it's 35-0 at halftime, or, we're just the laughing stock of college football, because, that's not a fun place to be. And yeah. All right, let's get into some final thoughts. Maybe we'll finish up the game and watch the rest of the game with you guys before we head out of here. Appreciate all the people coming in. So final thoughts as we get ready to wrap up the season. There's only a few minutes left in the season. Just a disappointing game to a disappointing season. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments. How do you feel about this season overall? To me, the second half was better than the first half, but overall, if I'm being honest, it was a disappointing season. Before the season started, we said that this was going to be a different team, even with the 81 new players, that we would see a hard edge mentality. We would be playing hard, which I think we did for the most part in the second half, but this one's still fresh about what took place today. But overall, 4 wins is not getting the job done. And I know they had a bunch of injuries, and we're going to talk about that on the season recap show. But again, just a disappointing game to a disappointing season. Let's look, Khalil Wilkins is in there now. Going to run a jet sweep. Not sure who that was too. Next year starts now, guys. As soon as this game's over, we need to turn the page on the season and look forward, because this season, as disappointing as it was, I think there is some positive things to take from it, especially with how we played at the end of the season. I think that there are some guys on the team that shown that we can count on for next season. So I think that's good. Khalil Wilkins just overthrew Looks like Sincere Bowers. Um, but next year starts now. The next thing I want to say is just be on the lookout for players hitting the transfer portal. That's one thing that I'm going to do as soon as this game is over, is just be on my phone and seeing which players make the announcements that they're hitting the portal, because in college football, these things happen quickly. As I mentioned, West Virginia has already had their bye week, so I'm sure a lot of the coaching decisions have been made and the player decisions have been made. So even though the portal doesn't officially open yet, players can still make their intentions known. So I'll be looking out for that today and over the next week of which players decide that they are no longer going to be part of the West Virginia program. It's an unfortunate part of this business now, but it is a reality and we have to be prepared for that. So hopefully West Virginia can retain the guys that they need to retain, but nothing would surprise me with anybody hitting the portal. Speaking of that, West Virginia must have a better portal cycle in 2026 than they did last year. They're going to have a much better head start this time. Last year, West Virginia was in a really tough scenario with how late we hired Rich Rodriguez, and all the talent that left our team was a lot. I think if we look back on this team, one of the reasons why they probably didn't make a bowl game is a lot of the talent that we did have last season didn't find their way back to Morgantown. Having a Trey Lathan and a Trotter and a Remack, and those guys would have helped immensely as building blocks, starting blocks for this program, even a guy like Hudson Clement and Traylon Ray. So losing those guys definitely hurt last year. So now you have to retain the roster. You're in a better position to retain this roster, obviously, with the same coaching staff. So that's number one, retaining the talent. And then the second thing is going out and leveling up our talent. I don't think that this roster this year was competitive enough to win the Big 12. I think even with the injuries, we see the flaws in this roster as example of today's performance. So they're going to they should be looking to upgrade at every single position. I think we could improve at literally every position. I mean, right now, if you're a West Virginia fan, what position in your mind sticks out as elite? Because I don't see a single position where I say, yeah, we're good, we don't need to upgrade that position. Literally, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, any position should be looked at as upgrading quickly for West Virginia, because, like I said, Rich Rodriguez put out the statement numerous times that within a few years, we're going to be competing for a Big 12 title in the college football playoff. So that needs to happen right away. We cannot have another season next season where we have another losing season. I think this is the fourth season in 5 years that we are going to have a losing season for West Virginia. It's just alarming, and it's upsetting as a West Virginia fan. You try not to get too emotional about it because it's just sports at the end of the day. But if you guys are like me, which I know you are if you're watching this right now, you guys bleed gold and blue, and you want your team to be successful, and you take pride in your team. And when you see results like this and you see 4 wins next to our name, and this isn't just a one-off, this has been the way for the last few years where we've been non-competitive when we play prime teams. It's definitely a tough pill to swallow. So next year starts right now if you're a West Virginia fan looking to build this thing. Then the next thing is, for my final thoughts before we finish up the game and watch it, making a final push on this 2026 recruiting class. Not sure which recruits are there today. There's a lot of talks online about some Penn State decommits and Arkansas decommits and things like that on the field at Morgantown today, but I'm not sure what their takeaway is going to be after watching this. Maybe the thing is they're blown away by our facilities and blown away by the vision that Rich Rodriguez is selling, and hopefully that's the case. Maybe they're watching this and maybe they say, I could play here next year, because West Virginia is going to be losing a lot of players next season, especially on defense. I think there was 41 seniors that walked today. So there's going to be a lot of positions up for grabs. So it could be a chance if you're an elite player to get early playing time, because that's not always the case, right? If you go to a place like Ohio State, you go to a place like Alabama, they're 3 or 4 deep at every position, where West Virginia, there's positions up for grabs at every position at this point. So that could be the recruiting class. But National Signing Day is Wednesday. So West Virginia right now is ranked the 31st class according to 24/7. So hopefully they can finish strong. Hopefully they can get more guys in the fold if you're a West Virginia fan in there. So that's really it. I think that's all I got. There's 5 minutes left in this game. I'll probably finish it out with you guys, and then we'll wrap this season up. Be on the lookout this week. I'll probably do a top 10 play video. So I've been counting down the top 10 plays of the West Virginia season. I made a list, so I'll be putting that out this week. Spoiler alert, there'll be no plays from this game in that video because they didn't do enough to do that today for West Virginia. We'll do a season recap video, just giving my overall takeaways of the season, where I was right, where I was wrong. And then we'll do a National Signing Day video this week too. So there'll be a lot to get to. And then you always have the news of people hitting the portal. Again, 3rd down for Texas Tech, and they convert. I would love to see what the stats are for Texas Tech today on 3rd down conversions. I'm sure it's a lot. So again, if you're watching this right now, we're just gonna do a live wrap up of this game. There's 4 minutes left in this one. Looks like Texas Tech is gonna really run down this clock. Again, just a tough way for West Virginia to end the season. If you're a West Virginia fan, Big 12 championship next Saturday on ABC. BYU versus Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is head and shoulders the favorite in that one. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Texas Tech is a legit college football playoff contender? I think they are. If it's embarrassing today for West Virginia, but let's face it, Texas Tech has embarrassed pretty much every team they've played this year besides that Arizona State game. They haven't had too many competitive games. It should be really interesting to see what they look like. I'll tell you what, I'll be rooting for Texas Tech because we need them to represent the conference in a strong way, especially with how much they dominated the rest of our teams in the conference. It would definitely be a bad look if Texas Tech went 0-1 barbecue in the college football playoff after dominating the Big 12. So even though they ran a fake punt today up 42-0, I'm still going to root for them because we need to as a conference. And then hopefully West Virginia can close that gap next year. Let me know what your guys' expectations is for West Virginia next year. I hope it's at least back to a winning season. I think we need to start there. We haven't had a winning season. We've had one winning season in the last 5 years. That was the 9-win team. So it's a difficult pill to swallow. 3rd and 2. Let's see if West Virginia can get off the field here. Not sure if they're going to be able to. They're going to run this down pretty much till the end of the second 2-minute warning. And I think they got it. Anyway, that's all I got. So I'm going to end this one. So listen, guys, appreciate you guys. This football season has been a lot of fun. Thank you for rocking with me this season. This is the first season I did this, started in June. So if you can, please remember to like and subscribe to JerseyEER. We'll talk to you this week with more West Virginia content.